Namaste everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The ongoing sessions are on Bhagavad Gita from an Advaita perspective offered by Middoji. We are on chapter 5, room number 16. Our schedule for weekly sessions are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6:30 a.m. IST. So there'll be a 1-hour lecture, after which we'll have about half an hour time if you want to have any follow-up discussions or questions. We are also running replays of chapter 4 going on now at 8:30 p.m. IST on most days, Monday to Friday. And Sundays we have the open discussion where we have an open discussion on Advaita. So with that brief introduction, for housekeeping, I will close the chat and hand raising when Binduji is offering the class, after which we'll open up those channels for any questions and discussions. Thank you very much, Binduji. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Atmisha, Vijay, Venkat, Srini, all of you. Let me do my invocation. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashi Vrutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtiveda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Slokam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutaha Tunnandi Divyai Stavai Vedai Sangapadakramau Upanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastitadadgateena manasa Pashyandi Yam Yogino Yasyandam na vidussura suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Oh. We are coming to the last section of 5th chapter, which, as per the topic, I should be able to complete it in the next couple of days included. There are two or three more verses which are appearing toward the end of this chapter. That is verse number 27, 28 and 29. Technically speaking, the verses 27, 28 and 29 seems to be a jump from the topic what is being spoken, but it has more relevance to the next chapter which it is coming. So personally, I prefer to include this last three verses of 27, 28 and 29 along with the 6th chapter. So I will do the verses 24, 25 and 26 and conclude the 5th chapter. Then there is a preamble for the 6th chapter, and as a link between the previous chapter to the 6th chapter, I will take these 3 verses into the 6th chapter. So let us see how Krishna is concluding the complete, what you call, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Karma Sannyasa means how to be in inaction. At the same time, to do it as a yoga. This is what exactly Karma Sannyasa Yoga, what has been given in this one. We will see the conclusion tomorrow or day after tomorrow when we conclude it. How stage by stage Krishna has done that. So the last class we saw that Chaknoti Iha Eva Yasodum Prak Sharira Vimokshanat Kama Krododbhavam Vegam Sayuktaha Sasukhi Naraha. Chaknoti means it's possible. It is absolutely possible. Iha Eva. Now or never. That is the meaning of the Iha Eva. It will be here now. Now means it is here and now. Or never. It will never happen if you are not doing this. And what is possible, Saknoti? Prak Sharira Vimokshana. Because once your body is this physical body, or once our waking experience is no more repeating, that means the Jagrat Swapna Sushupti, the waking, dream and deep sleep, cease to perform. That is what is called the Sharira Vimokshana. Prak means before that. Sodum means is to possibly, the way in which the word Sodum we have to trace is to forbear or tolerate or, not as a physical activity, but as a total human reaction. Because what is he saying, tolerance, Sodom? Kama Krododbhavam Vegam. Vegam means the onslaught or the speed or the flow or the velocity. Of what? Kama Krododbhavam. Whatever is being generated out of both desire and anger. It is Kama Krodha is to include all sorts of our input and output as reactions or emotions, etc. When that is Sodom means when you are able to control it or regulate it, the speed of it or the velocity of it. When before the body stops functioning, that is the time Iha Eva. Before the body falls, it is possible to do this. Chaknoti, possible. One who is capable of doing the onslaught of Kama and Krodha here and now, he is the person who is possible to be Sukhi Naraha, the happiest person in this world. And therefore he is Yuktaha, Sayuktaha. Because he repeated separately Sayuktaha, Sa Sukhi Naraha. So in language, when a repetition is being done, it has got a special importance. So he is not only Yuktaha, he is also a Sukhi Naraha, means he is the one who has identified himself. Yuktaha means yoj. Yuktaha means to yoke or to identify himself. And with what? Sa Sukhi Naraha. The Sukha, which has been referred in the earlier verse, where he said that, Sukham Akshayam Asnute, in the 21st verse, that imperishable happiness is the Sukhi Naraha state. He is abiding by the happiness. Now, having explained this aspect of it, Krishna is bringing a term which was later borrowed by the Buddhist tradition, a term called nirvana. And here Krishna uses it as Brahma Nirvana, whereas in the Buddhist tradition they are using only nirvana. They don't use the word Brahma there. But I have to read the three verses together and explain them, because they are not separate three verses. They are talking about one person, or the one Ihaeva Sasuki Naraha. It is the nature of this person's Brahma Nirvana avastha, or state of Brahma Nirvana, what is being referred in the verses 24, 25 and 26. So, we will see these verses now. The verse number 24, I am splitting the words and reading it. Yaha andasukaha andararama tatha andarjyotihi eva yaha sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhutaha adhigacchati. He who is of inner bliss, andar sukha, andar arama, it is the state of his inner being. It can be also his inner delight, or his inner play, or inner, relish, or like the state inside, inner aspect of it. And a very special term which we are all familiar with is Andar Jyotihi, the light from inside, or the inner light. Eva means indeed. Yaha Saha Yogi. So this word Yaha has to, as was started in the beginning, Yaha Andar Sugaha Andar Raramaha Andar Jyotihi Sa Yogihi. Instead of that, Yaha Sa Yogi. So the word Yaha was repeated again here, like the Sa was repeated in the previous verse. Saha Yogi Brahma Nirvanam Adhigacchati. Brahma Bhutaha Brahma Nirvanam Adhigacchati. Now these words, each one of them, Andar Sukhaha, Andar Aramaha, Andar Jyotihi, Brahma Nirvanam, Brahma Bhutaha, even Adhigacchati. All of them have got very deep meaning. Before I take each one of those words, we will read the next two verses and their meaning also. Labhande Brahma Nirvanam Rishayaha Kshina Kalmashaha Chinna Dvaitaha Yadatmanaha Sarva Bodha Hitairataha. The Rishis, Rishayaha, Brahma Nirvanam Labhande, they obtain Brahma Nirvanam. When Kshina Kalmashaha, exhausted of the impurities, Chinna Dvaita, the duality has been shattered or cut through. Yatatmanaha. Here the Atma is the under, what you call, inner instrument. Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara. So, Yatatmanaha means who is controlled, the inner instruments. Then, a word which is very popularized by many people, which also has got a deep meaning, is Sarva Bhuta Hitairataha. The Sarva means everyone, Bhuta means creation, Hitai means welfare, Rataha means one who is devoted to. So he is devoted to the welfare of all beings. Such a person also, Brahma Nirvanam Labande. The third verse is Kama Krodha Viyuktanam. This is the repetition of the 24th verse. No, 23rd verse. Kama Krodha Viyuktanam. Yatinam Yatachetasam. Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam. Kama Krodha Viyuktana. Those who are free from the desire, anger, etc. Yatinam. Those who are the yatis or the Rishayaha of the previous verse, or he who in the earlier verses. Yata Chetasam. Those of controlled Chetas. Chetas is one word used for Andakarana. Here is for mind, intellect and combined aspect of that. So Yata Chetasam means one who has controlled the inner equipment. Again, Viditatmanam, one who have known the Atma. Vidita means known. Atmanam means Atman. This is the Brahmavit, again, Viditatmanam or Brahmavit. Abhitaha Brahma Nirvanam Vartate. Abhitaha means all around or entirety. Brahma Nirvanam Vartate means exists as Brahma Nirvana. Now these verses, three of them together has completed the fruit of karma, yoga, karma sannyasa, all the three. This is the culmination, Brahma Nirvana. We will take word by word and go into the aspects of it. If you look at the overview of the three verses, the 24th verse talks about the individual yogi who has Andar Sukha, Andar Aramaha, Andar Jyotihi. The 25th verse is talking about the rishis. So we will think whether the yogi and the rishi are separate, but they are not. The rishis are Shirna Kalmasha, who have, their impurities dissipated or completed, completely eliminated. Chinna Dvaita, they do not have duality at all. A state of non-dual. Chidyande Sarva Samshaya. That same thing is here, Chinna Dvaita. And Sarva Bhuta Hitairata. the welfare of all beings as rishis. And in the 26th verse, it is the universal availability of abhita. Abhita means all around, entirety, complete. Brahma Nirvana is not something which is produced, which is being realized that it is there everywhere. When you have kama, krodha, viyukta. Yukta means abiding. Viyukta means when you are removed of that. Kama, krodha. When you are removed of kama and krodha. But not only that, your chetas should be settled. Yata chetasa. The andakarana should not be agitated at all. It should be abiding in the knowledge. What knowledge? Viditatman. The knowledge about Atman. So, he who is andasukha, the first verse talks about ya atmani yat sukham, which was mentioned in the 21st verse, that bliss who has found within himself. Here it is named as antasukha, the inner happiness, making explicit what was implicit earlier. The sukha of Brahmavid is not oriented outwards towards bahya sparsha of vishayas or the contents of sense organs, but inward towards Atman. This is the positive declaration that completes the negativity of earlier statements were naramade buddha, nabahya sparsha bhogan, or withdrawal from that. All of them is now culminating here. Because he is andasukha, he is already blissful from within. He finds the happiness within himself. There is absence of outer dependency and the consequences of outer need for anything other than, his own happiness which is well within. It is a fullness from within. And when a person has a fullness from within, he is called andar arama. Andar means again inside or within. Arama has got two meaning. If you are taking Rama as sport or delight, then Arama means extreme delight. So inner extreme delight is one meaning. The other meaning is Arama means resting. See, because the word A has both meaning is extreme or, when it is ceased also it is used in both the places. So Arama, if you are taking it as a cessation of Rama or cessation of delight or activity, means he is totally settled, resting. Andar means inside. That means he is finding the inner place of resting, where he has no more activity or anything related to inner outer. So if you are looking at that word, both the meaning, even though apparently opposite, gives to one completeness, the same root, as a sense pleasure or total recognition of cessation of kartrutva and bhoktrutva. That is when the arama takes place. Then activity is not there. Tata antarjyoti evayaha. Antarjyoti, inner light. It names Atman as Swayam Jyoti, self-luminous. The light which illumines all without being illumined by anything external. Tatra suryo bhatina chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bandi kutoyam agni. Tameva bandam anubadi sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vipati. We learned this mantra in the Upanishad portions. There are it repeated in around one or two Upanishads. We had the same mantra. It is not the light by the sun, the moon, the fire, the lightning, etc. It is that light with which we see the sun, the moon, the lightning, the fire, etc. And even that light which doesn't need another light to illuminate is the Andar Jyoti or Swayam Jyoti. In the Brihadaranya Upanishad, there is a Brahmana. There is once a complete section about Andar Jyoti Brahmana. 4th chapter, 3.6. The Atman is shown as a light there. It is the expression, the same expression in Gita here when Krishna says Andar Jyoti as the Atman, as the Chaitanya. The self-luminous consciousness that requires no illumination. The very jnana that is both destroyer of ajnana and revealer of the self, Tatparam. There is nothing greater than that. Recognized as Andar when it is a present within the one who is a yogi. So the three compounds together, Andar Sukha, Andar Arama, Andar Jyoti, constitute a complete portrait of a yogi who has found knowledge, peace and happiness. Sat Chit Ananda. He is a yogi. He is such a person is a yogi who has achieved Brahma Nirvana. Now the word Brahma Nirvana compound can be, it's a Brahma plus Nirvana. The two words are Brahma means we know, Brahman. Nirvana, the traditional meaning is Nir plus Va, root, from the root Va, is to blow out, to cease, extinction or cooling, etc. It can be taken as a two different compounds as a Tatpurusha or a Karmadharya in the Sanskrit language. Where if you are taking Tatpurusha, it will be the extinction that is Brahman. Or if you are taking Karmadharya, the meaning will be Brahman itself is the extinction. Both the meanings can be applied. Brahman itself is the extinction of duality, Chinna Dvaita, which we will be studying in the next verse. So Brahman is the one which has removed the knowledge, is the one which has removed all the avidya, the multiplicity, etc. If you are taking that as one which is causing extinction, then Brahman is the knowledge or the light. But when you take extinction, that is Brahman. Brahman itself is becoming extinct. In the sense that the brihatvam or the multiplicity which we have when the chinna samshaya, that itself is getting extinct or do not exist anymore. So we cannot use the word Brahman, Atman or anything because no word can work there. So knowing the Andar Sukha, Andar Adama, Andar Jyoti, the yogi realizes that what he has achieved was always present in him. And all the dualities and the multiplicity and the brihatva, the huge field of experience ceases to be there for him. Because he starts seeing Brahman everywhere. There is no everywhere or everything. Brahman is not, even Brahman word cannot become a useful word for usage. Yatra anyat pasyadi anyat shrunodi anyat vijanati. Where there is nothing else to be seen, nothing else to be known, nothing else to be heard. There is nothingness, total nothingness. This is not the shunyata. It is the totalness of one. Ekameva advitiyam Brahma. You don't have a second one to see there. That is the Brahma Nirvana. The Buddhist usage in it became a term of liberation for the Buddha. Blowing out of, they use it for blowing out of fires of craving, aversion, delusion, etc. And freedom. They achieve the freedom by Brahma Nirvana. Nirvana means they blow out every duality or every experience in that. It is not different from the Brahma Nirvana, what is being we are talking about. The Shankaracharya distinguishes Brahma Nirvana from the Buddhist Nirvana. The Nirvana is the extinction of samsara, specifically avidya, kama, krodha, fires and sustained bondage, which are the ones which sustain the bondage. Brahma, when it is taken as a qualifier by the Advaitin, the extinction is not mere cessation as the Buddhist reading, but identity with Brahman itself. Brahma Nirvana in Brahman, recognition of one's own nature as Brahman. Therefore, Brahma Nirvana is Brahman itself as the peace or the state, but not a state produced by extinguishing something, but Brahman recognized as one's own nature. It is not that avidya, kama, karma, as when they describe, Brahman is produced as a product. No. Therefore, Brahma Nirvana as per the Advaita are not two separate events. The extinction of samsara is the recognition of Brahman itself. That is, when the snake is vanished or extinct, the rope remains the reality. When avidya, kama, karma is destroyed in the knowledge of Brahman or in the Atma knowledge or the knowledge of the self, Atma tadatmanaha, Atmavit or Brahmavit, there is no protection of Atman or Brahman. The avidya, kama, karma, which was creating the separate individuality and the ego-based individuality with which we identify as the human being experiencing through the sense organs and everything. When that ceases to be the reality, when we realize that they are all guna guneshu vartande or swabhavastu pravartade, it is because we identified as the waker sense organ, the waker and the waker's sense organs, including the mind and intellect, is the reason why we are the individuals in the waking. And the world of objects as Vishaya, sense objects, for the senses, guna guneshu vartande. So, prak sharira vimokshanat iha eva shaknoti. When Krishna said that in the previous verse, that it is possible now or never, in this very moment, all we have to do is to de-identify ourselves from the waker. Because the waker is an experience, not me, but waker is a experience which is being experienced by me, similar to the dreamer and the dream world. I am neither the waker nor the dreamer nor the deep sleeper. Tebhyo vilakshanat sakshi. So when I am able to extinguish my identification with the waker or dreamer or the deep sleeper, the moment that takes place or that happens, I am not creating something new for me as myself, because I was always present even when I was not a waker and I was not a dreamer, when I was not a deep sleeper, I was always present. So I am not being created. I am the one who knows that the waking was a creation, the dream was a creation, the deep sleeper was the creation. I am different from the waking, dream and deep sleep. That is the nirvana, or the, relinquishment or the freedom which I am taking from. I am being blown out of the association with the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. Tebhyo vilakshana sakshi. The witness or the knower. The moment I say the witness, still the individual ego will hold on to the witness, saying that mind and intellect is witnessing, the waker and the dreamer. But even the mind and intellect, yatachetasa, that is identifying or abiding with the knowledge in which it is taking place. There is no individuality or entity to be identified when you de-identify with the waker, dreamer and deep sleeper. When you are de-identifying with the waker, dreamer and deep sleeper, there is no more an identity to be identified with, saying that I am a witness. All that remains is the awareness, knowledge or consciousness which is able to cognize or aware or know the waker as separate, the dreamer as separate, or the deep sleeper as separate. And there is no individual identity. That identification is not with a location or space or some sort of individualized experience. It is a totality of knowledge, because all objects, experiences, and the world of the waker or the dreamer was within that knowledge only, or within that awareness only. Outside that awareness, there was never a waker or a dreamer or a deep sleeper which was existing. They are all the three was existing in that one knowledge, one awareness, one consciousness. Terms is not what important. It is that bodham, in what we call it in Sanskrit as bodham or awareness. In that awareness, we have, Atmisha, your mic is on. In that awareness, what happens is that the space and time or any of such concepts which we were holding in our mind cannot be operational. So there is no duality or no space, time or anything which you can be aware when that awareness is experienced or identified. That recognition of awareness as one's own nature becomes total in nature, in the sense that the word even total or in what you call anything other than, which mind can conceive as totality, becomes invalid. That is the time when the mind becomes blown out of its own existence. There is no existence which we know as existence in waking, dream and deep sleep, as an existence which can be considered in that state. So it is not, we cannot call it as an existence. It is not an awareness of anything other than itself. So the awareness is being awareness, not awareness of something else. And when this becomes the state, or when this becomes our knowledge or a consciousness or being, words cannot take you there, but I am only indicating these words using the word you are that. There is no you, me or the world or anything other. It's only that what is there. And that is what is being experienced by the nature or swabhava, when it becomes a waker, dreamer and deep sleeper, we become the waker, dreamer or the deep sleeper. Other than that, there is nothing else. Neha nanasti kinchana. There is no multiplicity at all here. Ekameva dvitiyam brahma. In this is what is the Brahma Nirvana, which is also called Brahma Bhuta. Bhu means to become or being. Brahma Bhuta means one who has become Brahman itself. The word Brahman had to be used because there is no way otherwise we can communicate. So with limitation for the need of communication, becoming Brahman itself, or one who is being is Brahman itself, or one who has become a Brahman. The Brahma Bhuta is the most direct Advaitic identification in this verse. This yogi who has Andar Sukha, Andar Arama, Andar Jyoti, Brahma Nirvana or Brahma Bhuta. It's a recognition of what one already is. That is Brahma Bhuta. It is both the means and the content of the word Brahma Nirvana. Krishna has used a word, Tadatmanaha, in the 17th verse, whose self is Brahman, Brahma Bhuta, Brahmatmana, Tadatmanaha. Here he is using as Brahma Nirvana as most direct form, not merely saying whose self is Brahman. There is no self and Brahman separate. Who has become Brahman itself is a complete recognition of the identity that this Aham Brahmasmi is an experience of those who have got the knowledge. Now there is a term called Adhigachati in the first stanza. Gachati means to go, or it also has got Gama, has got a knowledge as a verb. Adhigachati means to know also, to know directly. Adhi is a prefix to change the word gachati to go, to become, to attain directly. So adhigachati means directly attains or directly arrives at or knowing directly. What? Knowing directly means there is a knower separate, something else is being attained? No. That is why the word directly need to be used in the verb as adhigachati. The same verb was used in the 6th verse. Yoga yuktva munir brahma. Where that Muni, who is a yoga yukta, he is also adhigachati directly. So that aspect of the word we use inner can be a highly misleading word. Andar Sukha, Andar Arama, Andar Jyoti. There means something is there bahya, outside. But when the inner and outer is totally negated, that is when it becomes adhigachati. There is nothing called inner outer. But the words had to be used for taking a yogi, one who has been doing karma yoga to karma sannyasa, has to culminate his knowledge as Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. For that, the words are required to direct towards as what is not externalized or what should not be looked through the bahya sparsha indriya or the contents of the sense organs. To direct it towards or to exclude it from the sense organs and the mind, the word andar was used. But the moment yadachitta chetasa, when it is being used later, it is the abidance in the same place where we were using the cognition through instruments, where the cognition was present for Brahman or for knowing ourselves. There are no two separate places. It's only one place or one where the externality also was being felt. And it is the same place where you can remove the externality and then it is neither the external nor internal. When the external remains, the internal has a meaning. But when the externality has no relevance, it becomes extinct. The internal expands to become the one and the only one. And this can be known or this can be experienced as a aparoksha anubhava or aparoksha anubhuti or atmajnana, brahmajnana, atmavit. All those terminologies which have been familiarized to us were depending upon the mind to cognize or to understand the meaning. Those meanings are not applicable in the state of Brahma Nirvana. Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati, which we have studied in Taittiriya. The knower of Brahman becomes a Brahman. That is, we know that we are no more the individuality which we are thinking as thing, the adhyasa with which the individuality is there being experienced. That is being blown out or extinct. And what remains is the whole. It is not the remnant, but when this is extinct, when the multiplicity, that is the kama krodha, created multiplicity of the world of waking, a dream, etc. When that extinct, that is that it has to happen in awareness, not in our deep sleep. In the deep sleep also, the kama krodha ends. We don't have kama krodha in our deep sleep, anger or desire, etc. But that doesn't give us the knowledge who we are. That has to happen in the mind which is abiding, yatha chetasa. in a awakened mind of a waker, because the waker is also Brahman, the dreamer is also Brahman, the deep sleeper is also Brahman. Everything is happening in Brahman. Therefore, it is possible to know the state or the awareness in which the waker is operating as the individual when the individuality is removed by this knowledge. Then that is the place where the same knowledge which we are knowing the world of objects, waking, individuality, etc. That knowledge becomes the knowledge of Brahman, not as a knower of the world or waker or dreamer, etc. But the substratum for it, in which it was happening. That is the adhigachati, or that knowledge or direct attainment or direct knowing, which is being referred here. I have to do the verses 25 and 26, which I will do tomorrow and day after tomorrow, before I conclude that Brahma Nirvana aspect, using the other words like, Sarvabhuta Hidayarada, etc., which are coming in the verses coming. Please do Shravana Manana Nidhyasana on these words. How does a Brahma Bhuta becomes a Brahma Nirvana or Andar Jyoti, Andar Arama, Andar Sukha? All those things have to be applied by us, upon us, to know who we are. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada.
Thank you very much, Binduji. I've opened the chat and hand raising for any questions or clarifications. And as Binduji has reminded us, the Sravana Manana will be very useful to follow tomorrow.
Namaste Venkat.
Namaste. Madhuji, you, in the beginning of the session, you did talk about that karma dharaya versus tat purusha. And the explanation followed. It is, the path of the karma dharaya need that path of the doership, eliminating what is not Brahman. That path is that of one that led to a shunya that Buddhist pursued, while Tatpurusha, very much that Antarjyoti, that the Purusha, well revealed. Is that the very much that these two, the pursuit itself lead to Shunya versus Purusha? Is that what happened here? To Buddhists finding Shunya.
Yeah, it is, see, when it becomes inexplicable and an experience where there is no content, that is what is referred as Shunya by the Buddhist. But they didn't expand it further obviously, I don't think that they were fools or they were of less intellectual capability to stop at Shunyatvam. What they meant by Shunyatvam is Yato Vacho Nivartande Aprapya Manasa Saha, what the Taittiriya is saying, is the same thing what they are calling it as Shunya. If it cannot be used by words, nor can mind cognize it, for them it was Shunya. Because they didn't want to use the Vedic term Brahma for it. Because they were not accepting Veda as a, what you call, authority or means of knowledge. So they had stopped at Shunyatvam. But what if you read the Karika and explanations on those texts, you cannot make a differentiation between the Shunyata and Brahman. That doesn't mean Brahman is Shunya. What it means is that it is not possible for words of waking and experiences of waking where the mind is involved becomes capable of explaining it. That is why the Upanishads also using words in the form of riddles. When it said, Yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha. So, if you use the Tatpurusha means genitive compound. In the genitive compound, what happens is that it becomes of Brahman, the nirvana of Brahman or the extinction of Brahman. So that, that is the language Sanskrit. You can use the compound splitting either as Tatpurusha or Karmadharya. But both, if you look into the intended meaning, you arrive at the same place. But the methodology in which the compounds are split, one is genitive compound and the other is not. So that is why it may be apparent the Brahman itself is Nirvana or Nirvana of Brahman. These are the two ways you can split it. But if you look at it in the ultimate sense, it's all leading to one place only.
Yes, Binduji. I think this is clear. Then there is in the subsequent words, it uses nishkalmasha.
That I'll take it tomorrow. Okay. And then I'll be taking the second verse, and the day after tomorrow I'll take the third verse.
Okay. I think maybe I'll put the question, upfront so that we can help.
Okay.
Now, the question is this the Shuddhi? Because the initially yogi, now you explained, to a Rishi, where that Nishkalmasha is a next step, or it is still the same that we continue to reveal as a Nirvana?
It is still the same. Okay. It is from explanation from two different angles. That's all. Okay. The yogi is a Rishi.
Okay.
There is no separate yogi and separate Rishi. The yogi itself is a Rishi.
Got it. We'll wait for tomorrow.
Okay.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you, Prakash. I think we'll meet tomorrow.
Okay, Vinodji. Let's meet tomorrow, same time at 6:30 a.m. IST.
Bindu?
Yes.
Sure.
Sorry, I couldn't
please,
get
go ahead.
my voice in quick enough. I just wanted to say how much
go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. how much I'm really appreciating the last few classes, because to me, you're giving the detail and the narrative that the Gita is providing, but the way you're doing it also makes the bigger picture that's actually the framework for the detail, but the detail ultimately is just a possible way of getting somewhere, a possible way of talking, but you're making the fundamental picture really clear and simple if that's what someone wants to hear, and it's lovely. So thank you so much for doing it the way that you are.
Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you so much for your statement. I'm happy that it's helping you. I'm sure that everyone will be having the same expressions to make. We will meet tomorrow, same time.
Okay. Yeah. So if anybody wants to do the Shravanam and another replay, will be in Clubhouse, and maybe upload it to YouTube maybe sometime later today or tomorrow. And as always, thank you, Bindoji, and over to you to close the room.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Atmisha, Venkat, and all of you who have been listening. We'll continue to the 25th verse tomorrow. Shrina Kalmasha Rishayaha. With the Brahma Nirvana, how does it refer to them? And tomorrow will be the final verse. We'll continue tomorrow. Hari Om. Have a nice day.
Thanks.